Project Success stood for caring. All of the advisors, the head of Project Success, Dr. Speller, when it began, it was his dream to have such a program on this campus that cared enough about students to assist them in getting through the university. And by getting through, I mean understanding what was required, producing what was necessary in order to graduate from the institution and move into the world of work successfully.
Teaching to me is a dirty word. It should be erased from education. Facilitate learning. How do you facilitate learning? Make learning pleasurable. Make learning a machine that develops, machine's the wrong word, to develop your self-esteem, your pride in yourself.
I was learning as I went. I had the book training that the university or any university offers, but that doesn't apply to everybody because they come from different cultures, and that doesn't mean a thing. They gave me different kind of books, different kind of techniques, and I tried it on the students, and they just blank out. So I went back to just old school, teaching. And I say, who wants to learn? Let's get down.
When Project Success was developed, it was for those students who are marginal. No, not for the geniuses, not for the best and the brightest, not for everybody that supposedly knew what was going on. Nobody was a genius. Bill Speller, his capacity speech. Ain't nobody here a genius, but you can learn.
The Board of Trustees didn't think it was wonderful. There were some who did, but the majority did not. But under the influence of the president at that time, he was able to give Doc Speller the opportunity to do this. You know, when pilot programs come in, this was a pilot. Could it work? Well, maybe so, maybe not. But did it work? Yes. But it worked because of the love, the care, and the ability of Doc Speller to be analytical in his thinking.
But if the program hadn't existed, I don't think I would have found somewhere to go. I feel like the process of trying to find a college to accept me was very devastating. I got so many letters saying I was denied. And at one point in time, I really gave up and I stopped filling out applications. And my first time applying to Project Success, I got denied. But when I applied again and I got my GPA up, they accepted me. I was actually very happy, and I was in tears.
The most important thing I tell them is, don't get mad, don't get frustrated, and don't get angry. You got to understand where you at, and then what you do is, it's not where you got to remember where you start at, where you're gonna end at, So when I get an individual, get a PhD, to go on, get his master's degree, get his bachelor's degree, I say, hey, look, you made it, bro. And it don't stop. And it don't stop today.
It was an amazing staff, to be honest with you. From Roosevelt Gordon to Dr. Harrison to Marilyn Whitehead, one or two others. It was almost a all-star team of people that knew how to support and cultivate Black students into whatever they can imagine themselves to become.
We have the most amazing students. And so it's been a privilege to work here for as long as I have, to experience the joys and the successes that students have had, to see them graduate, to see them become, full-grown adults, because they're already adults when they come in, but to see them have successes is such a rewarding experience. To see students that did not originally believe in themselves get to a point in their lives where they do believe in themselves.
It was Project Success that basically, taught me you got to stay involved.
Oh, I was determined that I wanted to get a degree. Once I got in, and I say this, I made the honor roll my freshman year. while I was at Northeastern Illinois University. I'm not bragging about it. I say that because in high school I never made the honor roll.
Going through Project Success and talking to everybody I've talked to, I kind of see life in a different perspective. Like, I'm starting to look on the positive side more. And like, I think to myself, like, okay, you don't know what other people are going through, so maybe you should just try to talk to them. That's why I want to do therapy.
The future is dictated a little bit by the past. I would really like to see that sense of community strengthened among students who are in Project Success. As you saw from the 50th year anniversary, the alumni there was such a sense of pride in being connected with Project Success. I think some of the students today don't really feel that connection as it should be. I want students to not have that kind of ideology, if you will, in seeing that this program has a rich history and knowing that Project Success, we're about success. So we're not about failure. So if you're going to be in our program, you're going to succeed. We have the people and the programs in place to help students to get to where they want to get to.
Most people grow up to fear learning.
In terms of Project Success, that's what it offered. It offered students who are marginal some way of showing them they can do this. And that's what Bill Speller brought.
God taught me a lot. And the things that he taught me, I teach my young men.
The brain power in young African Americans is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You can't even imagine it.
So I would like for prospective students to know this is something that they want to get into. This is something they want to become a part of, something that they should embrace and welcome.
I really want to be the best. Like, before I even got to college, I told myself I want to, push myself harder than ever, because in like previous grade school, I didn't try, and everybody kept telling me, like, you're a failure, and everybody didn't believe in me, and I always had bad things to say. So now I feel like I have to prove myself before I prove anybody else, and I really want this for me.
If a model doesn't carry on, it means there's something problematic with the model. This model, Project Success, has carried on for 50 years. And I'm honored to say I was able to witness some of its most desirable and outstanding moments.